And Norman's here for everybody to see. Get down. You got to get down. All right. So welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. If you love college football, especially Oklahoma football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment. Hall of Fame College Football. Yeah, it doesn't take very long to prove my point. I didn't even get here yet, and we got a clown like this. Have a brain. This is what I'm talking about, folks. This is what I'm talking about. Brent Venables signs an extension, keeping him in Norman for a few more years. And this is what happens. Texas fans get shook. You know why? For this very reason. They're saying they're not afraid, but they've been panning it and talking trash ever since it happened today. And I think it's pretty clear why, folks. It's just absolutely clear why. Listen, 10 wins in his second season. This is a number that it took Steve Sarkisian 10 years to reach, okay, in his second season. A higher trajectory in both seasons for Oklahoma and Brent Venables than what you saw in the first 2 years for Steve Sarkisian, who went 5-7 and then turned around and went 8-5 in the second year. They were still gagging up freaking games. 5 of them, lost their bowl game to Washington with Bijan Robinson, with Roschon. You can come in here running your mouth if you want to, but what Brent Venables had to take over was not the same thing that Texas had that Sark took over at Texas. Not even kind of close. He flips it around, and in year 2 goes 10-3. And they are recruiting at the top in a way that Lincoln Riley never, ever did. Guaranteed, this is what has Texas fans down in Austin shook over it, because they know that once Venables turns this into the defenses that he had at Clemson circa 2016 to 2020, they're fucked. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. They're getting trench guys. They're getting the guys they need to get on the offensive line, the defensive line, in the secondary, all around the defense, something that Lincoln Riley in his soft as baby shit ways could never do and never was going to do. And he's not doing it now with what and that's exactly right, Mars. Exactly right. He had very little to work with. The guys that are left right now, plus maybe Marvin Mims and then Dylan Gabriel, whenever they brought them in, we're talking about the one transfer quarterback that was able to play and could do anything for you, Dylan Gabriel. You had guys like Stutzman, guys like obviously Billy Bowman, but look, they had no idea what was going on in this defense. They were having to relearn how to do everything instead of the old way that they were doing with Alex Grinch and Lincoln. They had to get them stronger in the strength and conditioning program. These are all the things that we were talking about last night that they weren't doing, that they're not doing at USC. They've got the strength and conditioning coach that does Taibo or yoga. They're not able to recruit defensive studs. They're just not able to do it. Nobody was going to go to Oklahoma as long as Lincoln and that crew were there. That's all there is to it. So you have to come in, and as I said before, you rip it back to the studs and start over fresh. Yes, they go 6-7 in year 1. Could have been worse. If Dylan Gabriel's hurt for any longer than he is, it's worse. But 5 of those losses were by 1 score, 4 of them by 3 points. It's still a loss. A loss is a loss. Go to year 2. You can look at some of the metrics. You can cherry pick defensive metrics all you want to. But the truth is, in the red zone, they were one of the best in the country. Ask Texas in the Red River game. 4 straight times from 1 yard out, they couldn't get in. They were great there. They led the country, or were number 2 in the country in turnovers, in forcing turnovers. Billy Bowman led the country in interceptions and pick sixes. You can cherry pick these little things that happen whenever the depth was the issue in year 2. Year 3, they've added more depth. The younger guys that weren't able to really contribute a ton for you last year are expected to turn it around. If you see what Brent Venables does in year 3, everywhere else he's been, expect this to be one of the best defenses in the country. And they just continue to get guys that are out of this world when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. They've already done more on the recruiting side. Think about the defensive side of this thing. You've already got 3 5-star guys that he's recruited in here. PJ Adebawari, David Stone, Peyton Bowen. Jaden Jackson probably should have been a 5-star. Nigel Smith probably should have been a 5-star. Danny Okoye probably should have been a 5-star. It doesn't really matter whether they were or they're not. We know what they're about to do. Caden Woolard. They've got guys through the transfer portal. Dominic Williams. You've got Danny Stutzman, who's about to come in here and he's automatically up for the Butkus Award. Same with when you start looking at the secondary. Not only do you have Billy Bowman coming back, who is going to be up for the Thorpe Award, but would you be that surprised if Peyton Bowen wasn't too and wasn't an All-American type? Samuel Omosigo, Lewis Carter, Deshaun McCullough, Ethan Downs. The list goes on. This is a real deal defense now. It's deep. It's 3 deep at the 2 main positions on the interior of that defensive line, which is something we haven't seen probably ever. You want to know why they gave him an extension? Because they wanted him to know, and they wanted the entire freaking rest of the world to know, and the league, that he's not going anywhere. That all this slander that everybody like Texas fans love to throw out there about Brent Venables. And look, I said it before, I'll say it again. Why do you think Nick Saban tried to hire Jeff Lebby after year 1? Why do you think that Kirby did the same? I'll tell you why. Because they knew that if they could cut one of his legs out from under him before he got his defense in order, chances are he doesn't make it to year 3. Certainly not year 4. If that happens, they don't have to worry about Brent Venables. And if you're Nick Saban at that time, you know that you lost 2 national championship games to his defenses. Guess what? They're also still recruiting very, very well on offense. Right up there with Sark and the boys down in Texas. And better than Lincoln Riley, Mr. Offensive Mastermind himself. And guess what? Yeah, you know what, Michael? Even in year 2, the team was strip mined. BV won 10 games and beat Texas. Yeah, they did. So, the guy jumps in here, that knucklehead that jumps in here. Loved it. Oh, did he come in here and take it out? That's hilarious. I love it. Oh, no, sports masochist. Not a single Texas fan who gives a shit or is scared. I really wish this hadn't popped up on my algorithm. Have a brain. I got a brain, bro. This is reality. Let's just be real about things. The contract extension, I love it too, Jen. I'll tell you something. And I loved it even more. The more I sit here and look on Twitter and see how many Texas fans are screaming about it, telling everybody how bad he is and how stupid this is. That this is nothing more than proof of how freaking completely shitting down their leg they are. They know what's about to happen. They couldn't beat him before he got his defense completely put together. Guess what? That starts this year. And whatever happens this year, this is a great thing for everybody to know that he's not going to be on the hot seat. What is Shawty always asking? How long has he got? How long has he got? How long are they going to give him? They're going to give him time. They're going to give him time to build this thing. Yet, you think that Joe Castiglione doesn't realize that this schedule, and I mean, listen, you hear it from everybody. This is why Oklahoma can't be the best Red River team to enter the league this year, because this schedule is brutal. Look, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. If they were to go 8-4, he's still not going to get fired. He's still not going to enter the next year on the hot seat. Now, I've already told you that I think that 10-2 is reasonable. I think at worst 9-3 is probably what happens, unless you have a lot of stuff that happens bad, right? The fact is they got to go out there and prove that they can win on the road in the SEC, and they do have to go up against a lot of top 25 teams. And we're going to find out what they're made of in year 3. 2025 has been the year that I've always thought they're going to be their best team. Whatever they do this year, I think they'll even be better next year. And it stands to reason. Stinkus Cat, welcome into the show. I got to say this, though, about Lincoln and the crew. We can talk smack about him all day long, and we're never going to love Lincoln Riley out here. But I got to say one more time, this is the best thing that could have happened to Oklahoma, period, plain and simple. There's no two ways around it. You're seeing exactly what's going on, what was happening at Oklahoma. It was known by the time, even with the trips to the playoff, it was known what these teams were, and it just wasn't going to be it. It wasn't going to be enough. They were never going to get those guys. And if they did, it was weird. It's like Coop was saying the other day, it was weird when you get a guy that comes in and instead of going to somewhere like Alabama, it's like, so he's afraid of competition. It is what it is. But all I'm saying is that there's no two ways around it. Oklahoma did the right thing. And you got to give him the amount of time that he really needs. You really do, right? It's got to be that way. Yeah, well, this is 90% of fans aren't Oklahoma fans, though. Keep chopping. You got to understand this. And I got to tell you, when you lose like that in the playoff, and I mean, we're talking ass whippings. You think that's special? That's not fun. That's not fun. You get humiliated in front of the world. Didn't take anybody from the defense when he left. Freaking great point. Hey, look at this stink-ass cat with a big one. No one has any right to criticize OU fans for hating Tebow. Most of the nation doesn't know the whole story. I would agree with that. I think that, and a lot of SC fans do know the story. It's out there. They knew about the coach that was recruiting to SC while they were still at OU. It was out there. It was out there. I've been blown away by the amount of people that have come at Venables the way they have. I mean, in the media, around Oklahoma, everywhere. They go after Brent Venables. He's been a part of championship teams. Lincoln never has. He's won some conference championships in a watered-down Big 12. You know it. You know it does. You know it is. You know it. And I've just said why. If you can go back and listen to it, or I'll just repeat it again. The reason why is because his trajectory is on the way up, and no matter what, they're going to give him enough time to build that defense into the monster that's going to send Texas right back to mid. And that's what you're going to be. You know this, bro. You cannot tell me that the team coming back for Texas is as good as the team that didn't get it done last year and didn't beat Oklahoma in the process.